Hello and welcome back to the channel, you bunch of wildly optimistic travelers. Today we're taking a look at a list that's less must-see destinations and more maybe avoid-at-all-costs destinations. That's right, it's the top 15 countries where Americans are, shall we say, less than welcome in 2024. Now I know what you're thinking, John. Surely every country is thrilled to have us grace them with our presents and fanny packs. Well, to that I say, bless your naivete, because for a country that prides itself on freedom, we sure have a knack for making some enemies. From political tensions that could curdle milk to safety concerns that would make a seasoned war correspondent sweat, these countries are giving Uncle Sam the side eye and a firm thanks but no thanks. So, whether you're a die-hard patriot planning your next adventure, or just someone who enjoys a good dose of geopolitical reality, buckle up. We're about to take a trip around the world, highlighting the places where your blue passport might not get you a hero's welcome. Starting from number 15, let's begin. At number 15 we have Belarus, a country that's about as fond of Americans right now as a vegan is of a steak buffet. Following their delightfully dubious 2020 presidential election, which was about as free and fair as a game of Monopoly against my banker, Belarus has faced a whole heap of international condemnation. The US, never one to miss out on a good sanctioning, has slapped a few on Belarusian officials, and let's just say, relations are about as frosty as a Minnesota winter. So why aren't Americans exactly welcome? Well, imagine going to a family dinner after you've just told everyone their grandma smells of cabbage. It's tense, right? That's Belarus. Add in the risk of arbitrary detention, which is a charming way of saying you might find yourself unexpectedly starring in a Belarusian prison drama, and suddenly, that trip to sample potato dishes doesn't seem so appealing. Coming in at number 14 is the beautiful but politically fraught Nicaragua. Now, Nicaragua has stunning beaches, lush rainforests, and a government that seems to view the US with the same warmth as one might view a mosquito buzzing around their ear. The country's been wrestling with political unrest and crackdowns on dissent that would make a dictator blush. And the Nicaraguan government, well, they seem to see the US as that annoying neighbor who keeps borrowing sugar but never returns the favor. They've accused the US of meddling, of backing opposition movements, and basically of being the reason their metaphorical lawn is always dying. So Americans, if you were thinking of catching some waves or exploring ancient ruins, be warned, you might be greeted with more than just a friendly hola. Think potential hostility, a good dose of suspicion, and maybe even a side of safety risks. It's enough to make you want to pack your swimsuit and your paranoia in equal measure. And at number 13 we have Saudi Arabia. Isn't Saudi Arabia one of America's closest allies? We sell them weapons, they sell us oil, and we overlook human rights abuses. But things have been frosty. Remember Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist who walked into the Saudi consulate and never walked out? The Saudis' explanation, he joined the circus, didn't fly. This, combined with the oppressive monarchy, has strained our relationship. The US still maintains relations because of oil. Think twice before packing your rainbow pride flag. Coming in at number 12 is a country that's gone from being our awkward friend of a friend to giving us the cold shoulder Turkey. Remember when Turkey was going to be the poster child for a secular, democratic, Muslim-majority country? Yeah, about that. The relationship took a nosedive thanks to disagreements over Syria and enough geopolitical tension to make a UN summit look like a picnic. Let's just say the welcome mat has been rolled up and put away, especially if you're American. Might I suggest Copenhagen instead? At number 11 we have Egypt, a land of ancient wonders, stunning landscapes, and enough political tension to make your head spin like a whirling dervish. Now I know what you're thinking, but John, everyone goes to Egypt. They have pyramids, camels, those little hats, what's not to love? And you're right, Egypt is a popular tourist destination. But beneath the veneer of ancient history and tourist traps lies a complex political landscape that's not exactly welcoming to Americans. See, while we might bond over our shared love of reality TV and questionable foreign policy decisions, the Egyptian government has become increasingly wary of American influence. It's like that friend who keeps inviting you to parties but then gets weirdly possessive when you start talking to other people, and just like that friend, the Egyptian authorities have a tendency to get a little intense. We're talking increased scrutiny, potential risks, and a general atmosphere of we're watching you, and not in a fun Netflix kind of way. So, by all means, visit Egypt, marvel at the Sphinx, ride a camel, but maybe leave your Make America Great Again hat at home, yeah? And at number 10, proving that geography is no barrier to animosity, we have North Korea. Now you might think, isn't every country on this list hostile to Americans? The Kim dynasty has made hating America a cornerstone of their national identity. Traveling to North Korea as an American, it's highly restricted and you might end up as a guest of the state. We're talking detention, imprisonment, and awkward conversations with your embassy. So, maybe give North Korea a miss this year. Iran, a country with rich history and beautiful architecture. But for Americans, it's complicated. Amazing bazaars and delicious kebabs, yet inaccessible due to political tensions. Decades of sanctions and no diplomatic relations, anti-American sentiment and a complicated history, high risk of detention or harassment. Admire Iran's beauty from afar, safely. At number 8, we have a nation that was once synonymous with stunning beaches, vibrant culture, and, well, beauty pageants. But these days, Venezuela is more likely to evoke images of political turmoil, economic hardship, and a distinct lack of toilet paper. Now, I'm not saying that Venezuela isn't a beautiful country with incredibly warm people, but I am saying that the current state of affairs there is about as appealing as a week-old arepa. The country is grappling with hyperinflation so severe that you practically need a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy a loaf of bread. And then there's the anti-American sentiment, fueled by years of political meddling and accusations of Yankee imperialism. It's the kind of situation where even ordering a McDonald's hamburger if you could find one feels like a political act. Add to that the very real safety concerns from rampant crime to civil unrest, and you've got yourself a country that's about as welcoming to Americans as a porcupine in a balloon factory. So, unless you're particularly fond of blackouts, shortages, and the constant threat of getting caught in the crossfire, I'd suggest putting Venezuela on hold for now. Right, Yemen. You know that place you vaguely remember from news reports about, well, how horrifically messed up it is? Yeah, it's still horrifically messed up. We're talking a country in the midst of a brutal civil war, a humanitarian crisis so severe, it makes your average natural disaster look like a picnic. And they've got extremist groups running around like toddlers with scissors. The US government's advice for travel to Yemen? Don't. Just don't even think about it. Next up we have Libya, a country that took a nosedive from authoritarian regime to chaotic free-for-all faster than you can say Muammar Gaddafi. After Gaddafi was ousted, Libya completely fell apart. Now various militias fight over control of the country. And instead of juice, it's probably oil money. The US Embassy in Tripoli? Still closed. Another travel advisory for Americans. Violence? Check. Kidnapping? Double check. Libya has beaches and Roman ruins, but more red flags than a communist rally. Admire those from the safety of your couch. And now for our next destination, we're off to Somalia, a country that's synonymous with danger in much the same way that Switzerland is synonymous with chocolate, or America is synonymous with questionable life choices. We're talking decades of conflict here, folks. Decades! They've had wars, famines, pirates, terrorists, you name it. It's like someone took every bad thing that could possibly happen to a country, put it in a blender, hit liquefy, and poured it out over Somalia. The US Department of State, bless their cautious little hearts, has issued so many travel advisories against visiting Somalia, they're running out of red ink. Crime? Rampant. Kidnapping? A national pastime. Terrorist attacks targeting foreigners? Well, let's just say they're not exactly handing out welcome baskets. Look, I'm all for adventure, but even I have my limits. And Somalia? Somalia is about as far beyond my limits as you can get without ending up in another dimension. It's the kind of place where you could get kidnapped for a Snickers bar, and the pirates would probably apologize for the inconvenience. Right, so Afghanistan. You probably remember it from America's longest war and the withdrawal that made Saigon look like a well-oiled machine. Well, buckle up because the hits keep coming. After 20 years of occupation, you'd think we'd have built at least a decent mini golf course there, right? Nope, just a whole lot of rubble. The Taliban are back in charge and they haven't exactly rolled out the welcome wagon for Americans. I'd suggest maybe crossing Afghanistan off your travel bucket list, at least for now. Coming in at number 3, in our countdown of places Americans should probably avoid, it's Syria. Remember Syria? The country embroiled in a brutal civil war for over a decade? Yeah, that one. You'd think they'd be eager for tourism dollars, right? But no, fighting for survival isn't conducive to tourism. Constant threat of violence and chemical attacks really dampens sightseeing. Beautiful country, rich history, terrible time to visit. And at number 2, we have Iraq, folks. Remember 2003? No, it was a bloody mess. Things have calmed down, but Iraq isn't exactly a vacation spot. Politically, it's as stable as a unicycle on a tightrope. And there's still anti-American sentiment. Maybe give Iraq a miss. There are safer places to explore ancient history. Topping our list of countries that would rather not see your American face in 2024 is Russia. We all knew this one was coming. Relations between the US and Russia are as warm as a Siberian winter. Geopolitical tensions are high thanks to recent events. It's like that awkward moment at a dinner party. The Russian government isn't rolling out the welcome mat. Think arbitrary detention and harassment by authorities. It's like a casino where the house always wins. Unless you're into borscht, ballet, and uncertainty, maybe skip Russia this year. Your Instagram feed will survive without that red square selfie. And there you have it, folks. The top 15 countries where Americans might want to avoid unpacking their fanny packs and I Heart NY t-shirts in 2024. It's a wild world out there, full of political turmoil, cultural clashes, and enough danger to make even Indiana Jones think twice. But hey, don't let this get you down. There are still plenty of places where Americans are welcome, even if it's just for our charming accents and uncanny ability to overtip. Just remember, folks, before you book that flight and dust off your passport, do your research. Check those travel advisories like your life depends on it, because in some cases, it just might. Stay informed, stay safe, and join us next time for more travel tips, terrifying tales, and whatever else tickles our fancy here at Channel Name. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And for the love of all that is holy, please remember to tip your travel agents. They deserve hazard pay after dealing with us.